The Giza Pyramids, monuments to eternity. On the plateau of the pharaohs. To stand before the Giza Pyramids is to confront a fundamental schism in human understanding. The mind, conditioned by the scale of the modern world, struggles to reconcile the sheer physical mass of these structures with their profound antiquity. They are not ruins in the traditional sense. They are not romantic, crumbling ivy-covered relics. They are assertions. They are declarations of power, faith, and ingenuity carved in million-ton blocks of limestone and granite, built to withstand the ravages of time itself. Located on the Giza Plateau, a limestone spur of the Macadam Formation on the edge of the Western Desert, just beyond the sprawl of modern Cairo, this complex represents the pinnacle of ancient Egyptian civilization during the 4th dynasty of the Old Kingdom, circa 2613 to 2494 BCE. It is a necropolis, a city of the dead, comprising the 3 great pyramids of Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure, the enigmatic Great Sphinx, several subsidiary pyramids, vast mortuary temples, rows of mastaba tombs for nobles and officials, and the ghostly remains of workers' settlements. It is the ultimate expression of a culture that viewed death not as an end, but as a transformative journey to the eternal, and the pharaoh not as a mortal man, but as the earthly incarnation of the divine, whose successful passage to the afterlife guaranteed the continued order and prosperity of the world itself. To understand Giza is to embark on an archaeological, historical, and spiritual journey into the heart of the ancient Egyptian soul. The historical and religious context, why the pyramids were built. The pyramids of Giza did not emerge from a vacuum. They are the magnificent culmination of centuries of architectural and religious evolution. To comprehend their purpose, one must first grasp the ancient Egyptian worldview, which was fundamentally cyclical and obsessed with order, ma'at, over chaos, isfet, the divine kingship and the cult of the afterlife. At the center of Egyptian society was the institution of the pharaoh. He was not merely a political ruler, he was the intermediary between the gods and humanity. As the living embodiment of the god Horus, the son of Osiris, his role was to maintain Ma'at, the cosmic principle of truth, balance, and harmony. His death was therefore a moment of supreme cosmic crisis. If the pharaoh's spirit failed to successfully transition to the afterlife and join the cosmic cycle of the gods, the very fabric of existence could unravel, leading to chaos, famine, and the collapse of society. The pyramid was the primary machine designed to facilitate this transition. It was not merely a tomb, it was a resurrection engine. Its shape, a reference to the primordial mound of creation, Benben, from which the god Adam rose to initiate the world, was deeply symbolic. The sloping sides were believed to represent the rays of the sun, a ramp upon which the deceased pharaoh's soul, Ba, could ascend to join the sun god Ra in his eternal journey across the sky. The entire complex, from the valley temple by the Nile, connected by a causeway to the mortuary temple at the pyramid's base, and finally to the pyramid itself, was a stage for the perpetual funerary cult that would ensure the king received offerings and prayers for eternity. The evolution of the tomb form, the architectural journey to the true pyramid, is a clear and fascinating one. It begins with the simple mastaba tombs of the early dynastic period, low, rectangular, flat-roof structures made of mud brick, built over subterranean burial chambers. The first major leap came with the step pyramid of Djoser at Saqqara, designed by the legendary architect Imhotep during the 3rd dynasty, circa 2670 to 2650 BCE. Imhotep stacked 6 mastabas of decreasing size on top of one another, creating a stairway to the heavens, a literal staircase for the pharaoh's soul to ascend. The next step was the bent pyramid at Dashur, built by Sneferu, the founder of the 4th dynasty and father of Khufu. This pyramid began with steep sides, but the angle was abruptly reduced midway up, likely due to structural concerns and instability. This bent form represents a critical moment of experimentation. Sneferu's architects were learning how to build a true, smooth-sided pyramid, and their final attempt, the Red Pyramid, also at Dashur, was a success. It is considered the first true, smooth-sided pyramid in Egypt. With the techniques perfected, Sneferu's son, Khufu, was poised to embark on the most ambitious construction project in human history. Point 2. The Giza Complex, a detailed exploration of the monuments. The Giza Plateau is a carefully planned sacred landscape. Each element, from the orientation of the pyramids to the placement of the smallest mastaba, was deliberate and imbued with religious significance. The Great Pyramid of Khufu, Cheops. The Great Pyramid is the apex of ancient Egyptian engineering and the sole surviving wonder of the ancient world. Originally known as Ake Khufu, or Horizon of Khufu, it was the central component of a vast funerary complex. Scale and statistics. The numbers associated with the Great Pyramid are so vast as to be almost abstract. Its original height was 146.6 meters, 481 feet. Today, due to the loss of its outer casing stones and pyramid ion, the capstone, it stands at 138.5 meters, 454.4 feet. Each side of its square base was originally 230.4 meters, 756 feet, long, covering an area of over 13 acres. The precision is staggering. The sides are aligned to the 4 cardinal directions with an error of less than 1/15 of a degree. It is estimated to consist of approximately 2.3 million stone blocks, with an average weight of 2.5 tons, though some of the granite blocks in the interior chambers weigh up to 80 tons. The total mass is calculated to be around 6 million tons. The internal structure. The interior of the Great Pyramid is a complex and enigmatic labyrinth, quite different from the later, simpler pyramids. The descending passage, the original entrance, located on the north face, leads down a narrow, steep corridor that descends deep into the bedrock, ending in a subterranean chamber that appears unfinished. Its purpose remains unclear. The ascending passage, branching off from the descending passage, is a sealed, upward-sloping corridor. For centuries, this entrance was hidden behind seamless limestone blocking stones. This passage leads to 2 primary structures, the Grand Gallery and the Queen's Chamber. The Grand Gallery, one of the most awe-inspiring architectural features of the ancient world. The Grand Gallery is a monumental corbelled corridor 8.6 meters, 28 feet, high and 46.7 meters, 153 feet, long. Its walls are formed by 7 overlapping courses of stone, each projecting inwards, creating a soaring, narrow space. Its exact purpose is debated, but it likely served as a storage area for the massive granite plugs used to seal the pyramid after the king's burial. The King's Chamber, located at the end of the Grand Gallery, this is the heart of the pyramid. It is a room built entirely of massive, polished red granite blocks imported from Aswan, over 800 kilometers, 500 miles, to the south. It contains a single, lidless sarcophagus, also made of granite, which was almost certainly Khufu's final resting place. Above the King's Chamber are 5 compartments, known as relieving chambers, separated by enormous granite slabs. These were a stroke of genius by the architects, designed to distribute the immense weight of the masonry above and prevent the ceiling of the burial chamber from collapsing. The Queen's Chamber, despite its name, this chamber was almost certainly not intended for a queen. It is smaller and located lower in the pyramid's core. Its function remains one of the pyramid's great mysteries, though it may have been intended as a serdab, a chamber for the king's statue. Construction theories. The question of how the Great Pyramid was built has spawned countless theories, from the plausible to the fantastical. The most widely accepted explanation involves a combination of a massive, skilled labor force and sophisticated ramp systems. The workforce. The Greek historian Herodotus, writing 2,000 years after the fact, popularized the idea that the pyramids were built by slaves. Modern archaeology has thoroughly debunked this. Excavations led by Egyptologists like Mark Lehner and Zahi Hawass have uncovered the workers' settlement at Giza, revealing a purpose-built town that housed and fed a rotating workforce of 10,000 to 20,000 skilled laborers, stonemasons, engineers, carpenters, and administrators, who were paid with bread, beer, and other rations. They were divided into crews, and graffiti found within the pyramid itself names these crews, such as the Friends of Khufu and the Drunkards of Menkaure, humanizing the immense effort. Ramp systems. No single ramp could have reached the top without being impossibly massive. The most plausible theories suggest a combination of a long, straight ramp for the lower third and a spiraling ramp, built against the sides of the pyramid, for the upper sections. This would have allowed workers to drag the sled-borne blocks up a consistent, manageable incline. Quarrying and transport. The local limestone for the core blocks was quarried right on the Giza Plateau. The finer Tura limestone for the casing was quarried on the east bank of the Nile and transported by boat during the annual inundation. The granite came from Aswan. Wetting the sand in front of the sleds, as depicted in a tomb at Dashur, has been shown to dramatically reduce the friction and the number of men required to pull the massive loads. B. The pyramid complex of Khafre, the son, or possibly brother, of Khufu, built his pyramid complex to the southwest of his father's. While slightly smaller in absolute dimensions, it appears taller because it sits on a higher part of the bedrock and retains some of its original polished casing stones at the very top. The pyramid itself. The pyramid of Khafre has a base length of 215.5 meters, 707 feet, and an original height of 143.5 meters, 471 feet. Its interior is much simpler than Khufu's, consisting of 2 entrances and a single burial chamber, which still contains Khafre's black granite sarcophagus. The complete funerary complex. Khafre's complex is the best preserved example of a standard Old Kingdom pyramid complex. It includes the Valley Temple, a massive, square temple built of megalithic blocks of limestone encased in granite, located near the modern village of Nazlat el Salman. It was here that the pharaoh's body was received and the initial mummification rites were performed. The causeway, a long, covered corridor nearly 494 meters, 1,621 feet, long, which connected the Valley Temple to the mortuary temple. Its walls were once decorated with elaborate reliefs. The mortuary temple, situated directly against the east face of the pyramid, this temple was the center of the king's eternal funerary cult, where priests would make daily offerings to sustain his spirit. C. The Great Sphinx carved from a single, leftover knoll of limestone in the quarry used for Khufu's pyramid, the Great Sphinx is the ultimate guardian. It is a composite creature with the body of a recumbent lion and the head of a pharaoh, widely believed to be a likeness of Khafre, wearing the royal Nemes headdress. Description and symbolism. Measuring 73 meters, 240 feet, long and 20 meters, 66 feet, high, the Sphinx represents the pharaoh as a manifestation of the sun god, a powerful force combining the intelligence of a human with the physical strength of the king of beasts. Its name in Arabic, Abu al-Hol, means father of terror, a testament to the awe it has inspired for millennia. The mystery of the missing nose. Contrary to popular legend, the nose was not shot off by Napoleon's soldiers. Historical drawings from before Napoleon's time show the Sphinx already without a nose. It is more likely that it was deliberately broken off in the 14th century by a Sufi Muslim named Muhammad Sa'im al-Dar, who was outraged to see local peasants making offerings to the Sphinx for a good harvest. The Sphinx Temple and the Dream Stele. Located directly in front of the Sphinx is a ruined temple built from the same core limestone. Between its paws lies the Dream Stele, erected by the New Kingdom Pharaoh Thutmose IV. The inscription tells a story of the prince falling asleep in the Sphinx's shadow and dreaming that the statue promised him the throne if he would clear away the sand engulfing it, a powerful piece of royal propaganda that also indicates the Sphinx was already ancient and half buried by his time. The pyramid complex of Menkaure, the third and smallest of the Giza pyramids, built by Menkaure, Khafre's successor, marks the end of the era of colossal pyramid building. Its original height was 65 meters, 213 feet, with a base of 105 meters, 344 feet. It is distinctive for the use of red granite from Aswan for the lower 16 courses of its casing, a sign of both changing aesthetics and perhaps a shift in economic resources or priorities. Its complex includes 3 smaller, Queen's pyramids, and a mortuary temple that was hastily finished in mud brick by his successor, Shepscaf, suggesting a shortening of Menkaure's reign. The satellite tombs and the western cemetery surrounding the Great Pyramids are extensive cemeteries of mastaba tombs, arranged in a rigid grid pattern. These were the eternal homes of the royal family, high officials, and priests who served the king's cult. The quality and size of a noble's mastaba were directly proportional to their proximity to the king's pyramid, a clear reflection of their status in the court hierarchy. The most famous of these is the tomb of Queen Hetepheres, Khufu's mother, which, though robbed of its body, was found largely intact and contained a wealth of furniture and grave goods that provide an unparalleled glimpse into royal life in the 4th dynasty. 3. Giza through the ages. From antiquity to modernity, the story of Giza does not end with the fall of the Old Kingdom. The plateau has had a continuous and evolving history, the New Kingdom and later periods. By the time of the New Kingdom, circa 1550 to 1070 BCE, the pyramids were already over 1,000 years old. Pharaohs like Thutmose IV and Ramesses II visited and performed restoration work, treating them as sacred antiquities. The Giza Plateau became a place of pilgrimage. The classical and medieval eras, Greek and Roman travelers, like Herodotus and Strabo, visited Giza and recorded their, often fanciful, interpretations of its history. During the medieval Islamic period, the outer casing stones of the pyramids, made of fine white Tura limestone, were systematically quarried to build mosques and fortifications in Cairo, which is why the pyramids today have their rough, stepped appearance. The Napoleonic expedition and the dawn of Egyptology. The French invasion of Egypt in 1798, led by Napoleon Bonaparte, included a corps of 160 scholars and scientists. Their subsequent publication, Description de l'Égypte, provided the first systematic, scientific record of the country's monuments and ignited a wave of Egyptomania in Europe. This period also saw the discovery of the Rosetta Stone, the key to deciphering hieroglyphs. The Great Excavations. The 19th and 20th centuries were the age of the great excavators. Figures like Giovanni Belzoni, William Matthew Flinders Petrie, and George Reisner brought scientific rigor to archaeology at Giza. It was Reisner's meticulous work in the early 20th century that uncovered the workers' settlements and the satellite cemeteries, fundamentally changing our understanding of who built the pyramids. Modern archaeology and technology. Today, research continues using non-invasive technologies. LiDAR, light detection and ranging, scanning, ground-penetrating radar, and cosmic ray muon radiography are being used to map the plateau in unprecedented detail and search for hidden chambers or voids within the pyramids, such as the Big Void, discovered above the Grand Gallery in Khufu's pyramid in 2017.4. Visiting the Giza Plateau, a practical and reflective guide. A visit to Giza is a profound experience, but it requires planning to fully appreciate its wonders. The experience, the first sight of the pyramids from the plateau, is unforgettable. The scale is overwhelming. The air is often filled with the sounds of tourists, camel drivers, and hawkers, creating a vibrant, chaotic atmosphere. To find a moment of quiet reflection, it is best to walk away from the main entrance towards the panorama point in the desert to the south, where you can behold all three pyramids in majestic isolation against the sands. Key sites and activities. Entering a pyramid. The experience of entering the Great Pyramid or the Pyramid of Khafre is claustrophobic, physically demanding, and deeply moving. Squeezing through the narrow passages and emerging into the stark, empty grandeur of the King's Chamber is to connect directly with the ancient builder's ambition. The Solar Boat Museum, located at the southern side of the Great Pyramid. This custom-built museum houses one of the most astonishing archaeological finds of all time. A 43.6 meter, 143 feet, long cedarwood boat, discovered disassembled in a sealed pit in 1954. Expertly reconstructed, it is a masterpiece of ancient woodworking, likely a solar barge intended to carry the resurrected Khufu on his journey with the sun god Ra. The sound and light show, held in the evenings, this spectacle uses dramatic lighting and narration to tell the history of the pyramids and Sphinx. While touristy, it offers a completely different, magical perspective of the monuments under the stars. Enduring mysteries and cultural impact despite centuries of study, the Giza pyramids retain an aura of mystery that fuels both scholarly debate and popular imagination. Unsolved questions. While we know a great deal about how they were built, questions remain. What was the exact configuration of the ramps? What is the precise function of the air shafts in Khufu's pyramid? Are there still undiscovered chambers? The Big Void is a tantalizing recent discovery that proves the pyramid still has secrets to yield. Pseudo-archaeology and alternative theories. The pyramid's majesty has inevitably attracted theories that seek to explain their construction through lost civilizations or extraterrestrial intervention. These ideas, while captivating, are consistently debunked by the overwhelming archaeological evidence of their gradual evolution and human construction. They ultimately rob the ancient Egyptians of their greatest achievement. A symbol for the ages, the Giza pyramids have transcended their original purpose to become a universal symbol. They represent human ambition, the desire for immortality, the power of collective effort, and the enduring allure of the ancient world. They are a permanent fixture in our collective consciousness, reminding us of what humanity is capable of achieving. Conclusion. The whisper of eternity. The Giza pyramids are not silent. They speak in a language of mass, geometry, and alignment. They tell a story of a society so confident in its beliefs, so powerful in its organization, and so brilliant in its technical prowess that it could attempt to conquer death itself by building mountains of stone. They stand as a direct challenge to the transience of human endeavor. To look upon them is to be humbled by the ingenuity of our ancestors and to feel the weight of the 4,500 years that separate us from their creators. They are the ultimate legacy of the pharaohs Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure, not because we remember their names, but because the stones they raised to house their spirits for eternity continue to captivate, mystify, and inspire the world. They are, in every sense, monuments to eternity.